Hello, my name is Tomer Zvulun, and I'm the Artistic and General Director at the Atlanta Opera. I'm also the stage director of this production of Madama Butterfly. 5 Things You Need to Know is one of my favorite podcasts because it's short, informative, and it satisfies those of us who accept the fact that we are nerds, especially when it comes to our favorite operas. So, Madama Butterfly. 1. Puccini is arguably the most popular opera composer in the world. He is, without a doubt, the most performed composer in the United States. Butterfly frequently appears in Opera America's 10 most performed operas. The numbers keep changing, but I read once, and I believe it to be true, that 1 out of 4 of the operas produced in the United States was written by Puccini. His most produced operas are La Bohème, Tosca, and of course, Madama Butterfly. 2. The history of Madama Butterfly has not always been so smoothly successful. It premiered in Teatro alla Scala in February of 1904 and was greeted with a disastrous reception. The creative team that included composer Giacomo Puccini and librettist Giuseppe Giacosa and Luigi Illica was showered with whistles, jeers, boos, and even farmyard noises. We don't know exactly why it was such a disaster. Some attribute it to its late completion, or to lack of sufficient rehearsal time, or simply to the fact that Puccini had a lot of enemies in the audience. It was not only the public that rejected the show. The press castigated the composer for being, quote-unquote, uninspired and derivative, and he had to go back to the drawing board and rewrite the opera. He edited Butterfly no less than 4 times until he landed on the final 5th version, which is the standard version today. Of course, the reaction to Madama Butterfly's subsequent performances was reversed, and it became the astounding operatic phenomenon that it currently is, one of the most popular and recognized masterpieces of all time. Talk about vindication. 3. Puccini is an extremely cinematic composer. Even though cinema was just a nascent art form during his lifetime, something about his swooning romanticism that is always laced with a fatalistic, tragic undertones seduced film directors and lured them into including his music in their films. Puccini's music was borrowed in dozens of Hollywood movies. Madama Butterfly is one of the most quoted Puccini operas, from movie hits like Fatal Attraction to Bohemian Rhapsody. And in other instances, it is quoted somewhat perversely in Natural Born Killers, The Goonies, and most surprisingly, in Babe, A Pig in the City. 4. The American National Anthem, The Star-Spangled Banner, is quoted by Puccini, who wrote the opera in 1904. Pinkerton's aria, Dovunque al Mondo, takes its first 2 bars directly from the national anthem. But to those of you who know the history of the anthem, you may be aware that this year, 1904, was long before the Star-Spangled Banner actually became the national anthem. While Francis Scott Key wrote the music in 1814, it did not end up as the American national anthem until 1931. It was somewhat prescient of Puccini to quote what would end up as the American anthem 27 years before that time. 5. Puccini packed his opera with surprises, from quoting what would become the American anthem, to quoting Japanese military songs, to the astounding humming chorus invention. The large chorus sing the most beautiful melody through pursed lips. Perhaps his most emotionally powerful invention is the surprise introduction, midway through the piece, to Butterfly and Pinkerton's child, Dolore, sorrow in English. It is a bold choice that truly tugs at the audience's heartstrings. While this could be a very effective emotional weapon, it can also backfire. Children are not always predictable, and there are plenty of stories of sopranos who were viciously upstaged in the most inopportune of times. Butterfly's child has been portrayed differently in various productions. Some of them are strictly realistic, while others chose to use abstraction to portray the child, from a beam of light representing sorrow to the Metropolitan Opera's controversial choice to have a puppet represent the child. In our production in Atlanta, we have a sensational 5-year-old kid, the most adorable Abigail Hale, who is seriously threatening to steal the show from her capable colleagues. Interestingly, Abigail is the sister of Angelica Hale, who performed in the same production 8 years ago. 2 sisters, same opera, same production, 8 years apart. That was 5 things you need to know about Madama Butterfly. I hope you enjoyed this and that you will enjoy our production at the Atlanta Opera.